Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag. Welcome back to the tiny room. I am the aforementioned, in a previous podcast, not just now, Michael of Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined by Irish podcasting's number one guy. It's Benjamin, the Process Colopy.
Oh, I love that one. I'm so glad. Sometimes autocorrect works out just fine.
It's very good. Look, that is a little in-joke there that we have.
And as everybody knows, in-jokes make the best podcasting.
Best podcasting material possible.
Everybody understands them, definitely.
And Ben, I don't know if you know this, but I've slid a little in-joke there for Batman fans into the intro.
Have you now?
Mm-hmm.
Have you now? Go on.
No, we'll bloody get back to it later, but first, let's address the theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Benjamin, news. Let's start with the news. We're going to take, before we start with the news, let's just do an announce that we're going to take this a little bit out of order this week.
Yeah, I know, it's controversial, but let's see.
We're going to put the topic of the week before the review, because we're going to be talking about Joker. So we're going to leave the review of the film Joker for the end.
Oh my.
It's very strange.
Michael, I don't like change.
I'm uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable.
I've been uncomfortable since we started doing this podcast.
Let's just embrace it and get on with it.
Fair enough.
Ben, in the only part of non-Batman related thing we're going to discuss this week, there's too much Batman.
It's a lot of Batman.
There's too much. Get rid of some of it.
A lot of Batty Man.
Get rid of a lot of it. The big news is, Ben, the big news. You know how I've always said to you, Ben, that in the world of the Warhammer universe, that there's been one kind of great Warhammer story, and that's Eisenhorn, the 3-book series Eisenhorn.
Big bloody badass inquisitory fella.
That's the fella,
Yoki.
yeah. That's the fella, that's the lad. And he's getting his own TV series on Netflix. Was it Netflix?
Netflix.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, Ben, I've long said to you, many times I've said to you, what I've said to you has been...
Go on.
That there's a diamond of a story, of a Warhammer story, somewhere... just waiting to burst forth, to be plucked from the ether,
the roughage.
And that I always thought an ongoing comic would be the way to do it, like an epic comic series.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just there, it's just waiting to be harvested. The big news of the week, Ben, is that Warhammer Games Workshop have teamed up with Marvel.
The harvesters of content.
The harvesters of content, Ben. What we can only hope for is that the combination of Marvel bringing budget and quality control and access to really good writers and artists teamed with Games Workshop's IP, intellectual property.
I see what you did there.
We'll harvest that diamond for us.
I'd like to see the Immortal Hulk's Al Ewing take a crack at the Warhammer universe. I feel like he's got the horror chops.
He certainly has a lot of horror, Ben. Ben, you were saying something about Star Wars.
Oh, sorry, yes. Well, if the Star Wars adaptations from IDW that were taken back by Marvel are anything to go by, the Marvel Star Wars comics are pretty brilliant.
Very well received.
Very well received. Much loved by fan bases across the galaxy.
Yeah, so Ben, we might finally get that amazing Star Wars, or amazing Warhammer comic that I've always wanted.
Nailed it first time.
Yeah. Friend of the podcast, Cron.
Good friend of the podcast,
Cron. He gave us a comic to review for our collecting issues a few weeks ago.
Yes.
He also loaned us a Games Workshop comic called Death Squadron.
Very aggressive.
It's about orcs flying airplanes.
Da orcs.
Da orcs is flying the airplanes because they're from London, innit? Da orcs are coming.
Cool.
Whoa.
Oh, that was a very enjoyable piece of
content.
Piece of live radio.
So Ben, now look. Anyway, listen.
Go on.
That's enough about that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Batman and his various spin-offs and bloody spin-offs and flashbacks and
such Batmans.
There's too much Batman.
So
Ben.
little times.
So much Batman. Get rid of some of it. That's what I say.
So much. Michael, you and I went to the cinema today.
Yes.
And we were sitting in the cinema, Michael, and as you know, the price that you must pay for cinema these days, apart from a quite frankly hefty price tag.
Quite hefty price tag.
Is now about 35 minutes worth of advertisements.
Yes.
And one of those advertisements was a trailer.
Most of them were trailers.
For an upcoming movie.
Again.
Starring a Joker adjacent character, Harley Quinn.
Yes, okay, here we go.
There we go, we got in there eventually, yeah. Birds of Prey looks like it's going to come out. The movie that nobody asked for. The movie that literally not one person has ever gone, I'd like to see that.
Ben, I like that your opinion of this can be summed up with Birds of Prey looks like it's going to come out.
Yeah, that is my opinion of it. Looks like it's full steam ahead. It looks very like Michael.
Yes.
The director of the original Suicide Squad got a second chance.
It does have a certain Suicide Squadness to it, all right.
Which, quite frankly, Michael, worries myself.
But a little bit grimier, a little bit dirtier. It looks quite unpleasant.
It didn't even look that cinematic, Michael.
Do you think?
It seemed like, I don't know. Michael, I don't know what to think of this film. Harley Quinn is a hugely popular character and franchise, as well she should be. When written well, Harley's great. Margot Robbie... Sorry?
You famously have a problem with Harley Quinn then as a character.
My problem with Harley Quinn is that she's dependent on the Joker.
Go on.
My problem with Harley Quinn is that she, when written poorly, and by people who don't understand the dynamic that Paul Dini originally created when he wanted the character to be received, is that many people take her undying love for the Joker as what someone should do in a relationship.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be inspired by that, Ben.
A toxic relatichip
As
goal,
they say,
if you would.
As young people say these days.
They're all about goals.
Toxic relationships.
And toxic relationships. Ooh. We've alienated at least 2 listeners there, but that's fine. Mainly because he tells us he's not allowed to listen to this podcast anymore.
He's not allowed.
But look, toxic relationships are no good. You should not always come back to the homicidal maniac who treats you like gum under his shoe. And Paul Dini, the original creator of Harley Quinn, often laments the fact that seems to have been completely misconstrued by certain merchandising companies and things like that. In fact, one of the things that he heavily disagreed with from the Suicide Squad was Daddy's Little Monster, which was written on Harley Quinn's t-shirt.
Yes.
He didn't agree with that because it seemed to connotate that she would do anything for him. And this has a tagline attached to it, Michael, or a subtitle, which is the wonderful emancipation, the marvelous, something like the fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Of one Harley Quinn,
which is very Victorian, Michael. Very Dickensian.
Yes, isn't it?
And it looks to be her saying, I don't need the Joker anymore. In fact, that's the opening line. Me and Mr. J broke up.
And then there's all of these other women who are looking for emancipation from various things.
Because, as we know, Michael, men are bad blokes.
Yeah, and women are great.
And Ewan McGregor looks like he's going to have a lot of fun strapping on his American accent again. He looks like he's really into it.
I'm gonna get these birds of prey and I'm gonna beat them with my black
with my mask of black. Oh, that sounds slightly risque, but yeah. So look, Michael, fundamentally, why I don't like the look of it is it looks very slapped together.
Do you think?
It looks sloppy. But it's a trailer, Michael.
It's grim and gritty and dirty and down low, I think is what we're supposed to think.
I think some people are going to really enjoy it. I think her fan base is going to flock to it.
How big is the Harley Quinn fan base, though, in reality? It's never been tested, has it?
I just know that her sales, whenever she gets her own title or is in something, spike.
Her comic book sales spike. Yes, no, that's what I'm saying.
But merchandising, she's quite popular as well.
Merchandising, she's quite popular, but she's never led a film. She's never led a video. Like, she's never done anything solo. How popular is she?
Combined with Margot Robbie, you may have sales. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Margot Robbie has certainly been a cosplayer's delight for all young ladies at Halloween. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like Margot Robbie is maybe even too energetic in the role.
Get out of here.
It's almost cartoonish.
It's supposed to be. She's a bloody Harlequin.
I know.
She's a bloody jester.
They have also taken the bar scene from Suicide Squad and just seem to have copied and pasted it into the movie. She's having a drunk chat with Black Canary.
Pretty much the only scene in Suicide Squad that worked.
To be fair. Also, Black Canary being actually black is a little on the nose.
Oh.
Little on the nose.
Do you feel?
Little on the nose.
I didn't like Black Canary having a cigarette behind her ear.
It's not the right message we want to send to the kids.
I wonder what's going to go on there.
Well, she shouldn't be smoking if her voice is supersonically based.
No, maybe she has to.
Oh, to dampen it?
I don't know.
Michael.
I don't know, Ben.
Michael, look at you writing interesting little tidbits.
I haven't
for
really
movies.
seen it, Ben, so I don't know.
We're going to have to see it, Michael. We will see it.
We will see it.
And you know what, Michael?
Yeah.
I hope it turns out great.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick of going to shit movies.
You know what else is bloody Batman news this week, Ben?
Go on.
That they're looking at a Catwoman for Matt Reeves' The Batman.
Yes, Matt Reeves' The Batman, which is getting the full go-ahead, finally. And they're looking for a bloody woman of colour to play. That seems unnecessarily negative. A woman of colour to play Catwoman. And of course, Michael, the internet being the sane, well-measured place that it is, full of equality and open opportunity, has welcomed it with open arms.
They haven't been. Oh, you're doing a bit of irony.
Did a bit of irony.
They've done
the exact opposite, Michael, despite the fact that Catwoman has been black twice before.
Yeah.
or a woman of colour twice before.
How many times has she been white?
Well,
times?
probably a few more. Julie Newmar,
Yeah.
bloody Anne Hathaway, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
And she's
Carmen
been
by Condorova.
who?
Gotham.
Oh, I missed her there. She's technically a woman of colour, isn't she? She's Spanish origin.
I don't. Do you want to go
Latino
down this
origin?
route?
No,
Do you
not
want to
really,
go
not
down
really.
this route?
Anyway, she's also been represented as a woman of colour many times. Eartha Kitt played her
Yeah.
in the traditional 1960s.
Halle Berry played a Catwoman.
A Catwoman, if not the Catwoman. Ooh, Halle Berry's Catwoman. Wasn't great.
Look, it's a very interesting thing when I'm a firm believer in cast the right person for the role. I always have I feel a little bit iffy when they are specifically looking for a person based on their race rather than that's the top half of a Chaos Psyker.
I was enjoying it. Yeah, just go ahead. You keep going.
It's always a little bit iffy when they cast based on race and then find someone.
They do it a lot.
They do it a lot, and it's a tiny bit of a grey area in terms of...
Is it reverse racism? Are we overcorrecting?
I don't know, Ben. Who's the bloody say? Anyway, I hope it's Tessa Thompson.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Should be good.
Somebody did a really awful mock-up of her in Eartha Kitt's catsuit from the 1960s thing, so it's a terrible hairstyle for Tessa Thompson, and people were like, oh, that's going to be terrible. It's like, well, yeah, if you do a really bad Photoshop job with a 1960s haircut,
yeah,
it's going to look a bit rough.
I wonder which Catwoman route they'll go.
I hope she's an intelligent, badass lady who's quite fond of Batman but doesn't need him around. I like a self-possessed, independent woman in my own life, but also in my Catwoman.
I meant more in terms of like, will they go for a kind of Batman Returns kind of mad Catwoman kind of psychopath, a bit
I
evil,
hope not.
Or will they go for a Anne Hathaway cat burglar, not even called Catwoman?
A Frank Miller, former prostitute,
get
hard
out of here,
streets.
Frank Miller.
Get out of here, Frank Miller.
We don't want any more of your stories, Frank.
More of your crap, Frank.
You bloody son of a bitch.
But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to that Matt Reeves movie. I want to see what they do with it. We haven't had it.
I don't know what it's going to be like.
It could be terrible, Michael.
Casting rumours swirling around the wahoozies.
I know.
Here and hither and fro.
I know.
Jonah Hill's
to be a villain.
Yeah, at one stage it's mad. Who
Yeah,
knows?
actually, look.
Look, listen.
Who's our Batman? Have we decided? It is Robert Pattinson, isn't it?
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Helpfully christened here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson. We definitely weren't the first, but we'll take
No,
credit.
nor the last.
Nor the last. Go on.
Benjamin. Look, listen. We can't. We're circling. We've been caught in the orbit of the Batman this week, in his Schwarzschild radius. Stop that.
What's a Schwarzschild?
It's a bloody physicist who discovered something about black holes.
I thought it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's illegitimate son.
That's good, yeah. That would be Schwarzkinder.
Schwarzkinder.
What are we doing?
Batman.
So Ben, bloody hell, Ben. It's big news at the moment. Who even is the Joker in all my news?
Yeah, so Michael and I did a little visit today to the cinema.
Yeah.
And we went to see the new Joker film. And in the spirit of such a film, we decided to take a look at the origin of the Joker.
Yes, we did.
But Michael,
yes,
there's a little bit of a built-in conceit here.
Go on.
The Joker doesn't have an origin, Michael.
Yes, he does.
The Joker doesn't have an origin, Michael.
He does, though.
The Joker doesn't have an origin, Michael.
Ben, he does.
The Joker doesn't have an origin.
I see what you're doing, but he does.
No, I mean, technically, depending on which way you go. Now, rather unusually today, Michael, brother of one of the podcast co-hosts went with us today.
Yes, your brother.
And almost a perfect guinea pig for this kind of thing, because my brother was very confused as to the origin of the Joker. And we were both saying, well, you should listen to our podcast tomorrow.
Only there was a podcast you could listen to.
Because he does have a very convoluted backstory. But let's go all the way back.
Your brother?
Yes, my brother has a very convoluted backstory.
Go on.
Well, after a harrowing youth, we lost him in Dundrum. After Nam. Yeah. My brother came back and didn't really like the city that he once called home, right. And he decided to clean it up.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes out there as the Shamrock Avenger. And,
that's terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. My brother's much cooler than I'm making him out to be. It's actually quite unfair on my brother. My brother is easily the coolest of the Colby brothers.
Oh, yeah?
Knocking around. Oh, hands
much cooler than
down.
you.
Much cooler than me, being that there's two of us in the Colby brothers.
Oh.
And I just said he's the cooler of the two.
Anyway. Talk about Joker.
1940. Yeah. Cast your mind back.
The year is 1940,
Cast your mind back, Michael.
World War II is raging in Europe.
Yep. This just in. Hitler's a real bad guy.
Yeah, here come those bloody Germans again. Keep an eye out.
Damn it, Jerry, step back. Yeah, so that's happening. But also, Batman's been going for a while in Detective Comics.
Yeah.
He's very successful, and he finally gets his own title.
The Batman.
Batman.
Yeah, very good.
And who's the first villain that he goes up against in Batman?
I don't know, Ben.
It's the Joker, Michael.
Oh.
The Joker was specifically created to be his villain, his antagonist.
In Batman issue 1.
In Batman issue 1 in 1940. And never again have they parted ways. They have been inseparable ever since, except for what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. One of the interesting things is, originally he was billed as a one-off. He dies at the end of the original Batman arc. Spoilers for a comic that came out in 1940.
Bloody hell, Ben. That's,
and this
give
established
people a minute.
this established Joker as the kind of undying, eternal evil of Gotham City. He came back due to huge popularity. A lot of the tropes that we see exploited throughout the Joker's cinematic and television history were established in Batman issue 1.
Go on.
For example, he would often announce his murders on the television.
Hello, I'm the bloody Joker, and I'm about to bloody kill some of these people.
Yeah, and he would give an exact time. Exactly, he would say he would usually pick on wealthy elites in Gotham City. Yeah. So let's say, for example, Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, the Wayne family.
Rupert Murdoch will die at 12 p.m. this evening.
Oh.
And then, lo and behold, he would do it. But he would do it through some kind of concoction of chemicals. It wouldn't be your simple smash and murder.
Right.
It would be a chemical that he planted somewhere. He'd wear a disguise and he'd sneak into somewhere and do it that way.
Right.
And he was a very, very, very enjoyed character
What did he look like?
by the fan base. Exactly as the traditional Joker looks. Green hair, white face, big grin.
Yeah.
Purple suit.
Purple suit. In the 40s he looked
In
like
the 40s. He has had probably one of the most enduring styles of most villains in the Marvel Universe. He's had...
Not in the Marvel Universe.
In the DC Universe.
Get off the bloody podcast!
He's only had to be minorly tweaked over the years. He's always kept that purple suit. Yeah, it's great. He was a great character when he was introduced. And then, really over the years, it depends on who's wrote him. Like most things with that, like most characters with that kind of longevity, who gets their hands on him decides the kind of character that we're going to get. He, I suppose, can be really more defined by the ages that comics have gone through. So we had, of course, the golden age of comics, Michael, which you and I have often said, Michael, not really great. That golden.
Not great.
Not that golden.
Very full, very creative, surely.
Surely.
But terrible comics.
Yeah, you can't go back and read them and enjoy them.
You can.
No, you can't.
You can.
Look, just wished. My section. Anyway... After that, he goes into the Silver Age, and this is where we kind of really get the Joker that we all know, the clown prince of crime, the kind of megalomaniac, the big, noisy character. He was actually kind of unpopular towards the end of the Golden Age, so he was whisked out of existence. And then he kind of came back for the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s. And he became a huge character again. He became the maniacal, kind of homicidal, which is very similar to the word kind of. Homicidal maniac that we all know and love today. Adored by strange men across the world. And he became much more homicidal. He's responsible for some heinous acts.
Yeah.
And then we reach the 80s and the Joker gets a whole boost into full-on psychopathic territory. We really begin to play around with what the Joker is. Different writers tackle him in different ways. In some incarnations, he's just the embodiment of evil. Mm-hmm. In other incarnations, he's super sane. In other incarnations, he's completely flexible and interchangeable as a character. And it all gets very confusing, Michael, as time goes by. Scott Snyder more recently made him into kind of an eternal character that existed in Gotham throughout the ages.
Are there 3 Jokers now?
Yeah, there are 3 Jokers now. So I was just about to get onto that, Michael.
Right, sorry.
And now it's been revealed lately in a new run that hasn't come out yet. It's been teased for a very long time, but it's yet to be published.
Oh, okay.
There are 3 Jokers who've always operated in Gotham City, which is absolute horseshit, Michael. It's just, look, we're going to have to wait and see what it is, but it's just weird.
It might be good. Anything can be good, Ben. That's your
Anything can be good. Yeah, that's true. At least that's how I pitch things to people. Anything can be good, so let me buy you a drink. So yeah, one of the things I really enjoy about the character on a personal level, Michael, is that he didn't have an origin for a really long time.
Like Wolverine.
I think that adds a nice layer of mystery. Logan. I think there's lots of darkness to the character because Batman can't figure him out. Mm. I think it's great that the world's greatest detective can't actually...
Who is he?
Suss it out. I think that's great. I think that even the world's greatest detective can't figure him out. And I think that's probably one of the great things that can probably unnerve Batman about the Joker. He can't figure it out.
Who is he?
There is no origin.
Yeah. What is his origin though, Ben?
Well, good question, Michael.
Oh, thank you.
now retired comic book writer,
Yeah.
Alan... I can't remember his name.
Davies.
It's gone. No.
Moore.
There we go.
Moore, yeah.
Alan Moore got a stab at The Killing Joke, Michael,
Go on.
which has several issues.
Yeah.
Including a fridging
Yeah.
and a raping.
Yeah.
And an unnecessary raping that doesn't fit with the Joker's character at any point previous to his character.
I don't know if you want to start using the phrase unnecessary raping.
Oh, yeah, shit.
That doesn't reflect very well.
Ooh.
Go on, though.
Oh, it's too late now. I think I'm just gonna see myself out, Michael.
Dig up, Ben. Dig up.
Anyway, it has a multitude of issues inherent within it because it's a 90s comic book. 80s or 90s? Yeah, it's an 80s comic book.
87, 89, I don't know.
And I guess Alan Moore decided to take an age-old mystery and say, well, I'm Alan Moore, so I can write what I want.
Yeah,
and
I'll figure it out.
He went and wrote him as a low-life hood, a failed stand-up comedian who gets roped in to some pretty shady folks.
Yeah.
Some pretty shady folks. He has to become the scapegoat for their little criminal enterprise. The fall guy. It turns out that this criminal is like...
Patsy.
The Patsy. Yeah. It turns out that this criminal organisation has been using a red hood.
The dirty-handed Charlie.
Is that a thing?
No, I've made it up.
No, you've made it up. It was good, though. It was enough. It was weird enough for me to go, that's not right. But also not weird enough that I had to check.
Not weird enough to be funny.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, I mean, look, that's podcasting.
That's podcasting.
Not weird enough to be funny is what we'll be rebranding the podcast to in the near future. But what happens is he gets shoved into an vat of acid.
Yeah.
Like
the drug from the 90s. Acid.
Acid.
Right.
And he comes out as that maniacal, crazy kind of person. Jack Nicholson also took a step.
Well, hold on. I'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
You're doing comics.
Sorry.
You're doing comics.
We're going back. If we take a look at Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah. You're just moving on. You're just doing Train of Consciousness.
What do you want me to do?
What's his origin?
Comics.
What's his origin?
That's one of the origins.
Yeah,
he's a failed comedian. He had a wife. Yeah. Things weren't going very well, so he took some work with some shady guys because they offered to pay him and he needed the money. And then that all happened. But then it turns out that Gotham PD is really corrupt, and it turns out that they got rid of his wife because he died and they wanted to clean up shop. It was all real dark.
Was that the Killing Joke?
No, it's a retcon much later.
Oh.
Much later.
What, Ben, is his origin in the 1966 TV show? I don't think
he's not given an origin. He's just a kooky clown prince of crime. Yeah. And oddly enough, the most stylistic influence for the Joker movie that we just saw. Because in the 1966 version, he wears a kind of redder suit with an orange jacket, and it probably represents one of the greatest strays from the original colour palette of the character.
Does he?
Which is purple and green. He wears a little reddy kind of orange thing, so he's much more heavily influenced by the 19s.
He was purple in the 60s.
No, you can take a look. I'll take a look here as we go.
Summon that forth.
As we go forward, Michael, we come to Batman the Animated Series. And
we bloody don't. We come to bloody Batman 1989.
You just said we weren't doing that.
No, I was just saying. You just can't stream of consciousness, Ben. Ben.
You do it.
The bloody origin. Here's the thing, right? You have said there multiple times that he doesn't have an origin.
Yes.
But one, what's his name? The guy who directs those films? Tim Robbins? No. The spooky guy. The guy who directs the Batman film.
Matt Reeves.
No.
Christopher Nolan.
No.
Todd Phillips.
No. The 1989 one.
Tim Burton.
There you go. Tim Burton
said... You want stream of consciousness, I'll give you stream of consciousness.
Tim Burton said to you, Ben, he said, look, Ben, I don't have time for any of this nonsense about the Joker not having an origin. What I want is the Joker to have a very clearly defined origin and for it to be intimately tied
you're right,
in.
Michael.
Yeah.
It's purple.
Yeah, I thought it was purple.
Why did I
don't know. Not only did you make that up, but then you went on a thing about it. It's weird.
Why did I make that up?
I don't know. Why did you make that up and then just roll with
sorry.
it?
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah.
The Jack Nicholson orange cravat.
Give us a look. No, I mean there's a. It's hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah,
with 60s TV because
for whatever reason that's burned itself into my mind. Anyway, Ben, on you go.
Famously, very very famously, in the 1989 Batman movie, the producers wanted Jack Nicholson. He was their number one guy.
Yeah, because you are my number one guy, Jack.
See, that's the reference from earlier that I did in the intro.
I missed it.
You did miss it, yeah. And they went as far as basically building the movie around the Joker. But in the movie, Ben, he very much has an origin. His name is Jack Napier.
Yes.
And he is an up-and-coming hood.
Yes.
Which is a bit silly considering Jack Nicholson's about 60.
Yeah.
But, he's an up-and-coming hood. and he's in a relationship with the boss's mall.
Yeah, which is not a good idea.
So he bloody gets set up, Ben. The gangsters kind of just
Jack Palance has had enough.
To get him out of here, yeah.
Because you are my number one guy.
Exactly,
Jack.
yeah, exactly.
And don't forget, you lucky dick.
See?
Jack Palance terrified me as a child in that role.
So he sends him off, Ben.
Yeah.
And he only bloody gets thrown into a vat of acid by the Batman. And there's about half an hour of that movie before you even meet Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's great.
And there's only about 4 or 5 minutes of Batman in that. It's a Joker. The first half of that film is a Joker origin story.
It's great.
And then he gets all melted, Ben, and he becomes the Joker. But he's not really mad.
No, he's a criminal.
He's a gangster who I don't think he even breaks mentally when he gets injured. He ends up looking like a clown and kind of embraces it.
Yeah, he does.
More so than anything else.
They lean quite heavily in that movie into the fact that he's a sociopath to begin with. He's kind of a really fucked up guy in the beginning.
He's already a lunatic. Yeah. And then, it just all happens to match together. Did you hear about how when they wanted to cast him as the Joker, they didn't have CG back then, so they took the famous picture of him sticking his head through the door in The Shining,
Johnny,
and just painted the Joker over it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's how that was kind of their wish
their
board.
mock-up, their concept, their proof
of
concept
art of, look, get Jack Nicholson. So he kind of steals the bloody film away, Ben.
He does.
But a thing about Batman 1989 is that it's not very mythological.
In what sense now? Help me out here now.
Recent comic book movies and TV shows, and even comic books, and even ancillary things related to comic books, they're swallowing their own tail in terms of creating mythology.
An Ouroboros kind of thing.
Yeah, they kind of got they've got their mythos, and when things happen, it's really that's what. This is just a story about a guy who hates Batman, who happened to be created by Batman, and happened to have also created Batman. Yeah. But Batman's a normal man in this. He gets beaten up by street-level thugs. Yeah,
I think that's one of the most interesting things is in the 1989 Batman, as you said, he kills Bruce Wayne, or Thomas Wayne, and Martha Wayne. He's the man that pulls the trigger, which again had been an eternal mystery for a very long time.
And the actor who plays young Jack Napier, bloody hell does he look like the Joker.
He does.
He is an amazing
spitting image.
Yeah, he's the best bit of casting in the whole film.
Yeah.
But anyway, in this, the Joker is criminal, but for no real reason. He just likes causing havoc.
Yeah.
He calls himself an artist, the world's first psychopathic artist. Which probably isn't true. Yeah. Most artists are probably psychopaths.
To be fair, you can probably fact check a lot of Joker things and find out.
Yeah, but he, although he's antagonistic with Batman, there's not this thing which develops in later Batman.
The bond.
Yeah.
The dark bond.
They're this great mythological pairing of darkness and light who can't exist without one another. There's none of that. He's just a lunatic in a clown suit.
You need me.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Batman beats him by punching him in the head.
He just gives him a box a couple of times and chucks him off a building.
Yeah.
Spoilers for a movie that came out in 1989.
And then Joker's nearly going to get away in a helicopter, and Batman says, not that bloody fast, and grappling hooks him onto a thing that kills him. Yeah. Batman's a real murderer in this film.
Yeah, no problem.
He'll kill someone as soon as look at them.
No qualms. He cavilled it.
But he does have some of the best lines ever in film.
Which one? Joker or Batman?
There's Batman. Joker says, of course, to Batman, "Did you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" Just something I say to all my victims. But also, after he shoots Bruce Wayne and thinks that he's killed him,
thanks to the trusty silver tray.
Yeah, how did he know he was going to shoot him in the square in the chest?
Oh, Batman knows.
Yeah, he knows, all right. But he says, never rub another man's rhubarb.
Yeah, never rub another man's rhubarb. I love Jack Nicholson. I always love the scene I always remember is the parade. Mm-hmm. And he goes in, where is the Batman? He's at home washing his tights. And it's just like Jack Nicholson said that. That wasn't in the script. Yeah, there's no way that was in the script. That's all Jack Nicholson.
There's a lot of things about it. I don't know if Jack Nicholson created a lot of Joker's lingo, but Mark Hamill, Ben, is famous as being a very good Joker, but a lot of Mark Hamill comes from that performance. The laugh.
Yeah.
The laugh comes from Jack Nicholson. I don't know if Jack Nicholson invented the Joker calling Batman Bats or Batsy.
I think he did.
But
I think that's him. And then the Batman the Animated Series came as a direct result of the success of the 1989 film.
Bloody just took the theme tune.
Yeah.
Stuck it in there.
And that much darker Batman became a really popular version of the thing. So they went and made, and that Joker, again, follows that origin roughly in the Batman the Animated Series.
Does it?
Here and there. So, as you know, Michael,
yeah.
Batman the Animated Series, very successful at the time.
Yeah.
Very successful. Very dark.
Very
dark. Successful. Lovely versions of the characters.
Yeah.
Great storytelling.
Yeah.
Paul Dini knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
Bruce Timm has a lovely streamlined animation style. It's great.
Hand drawn on black paper.
The darkest cartoon ever.
Well,
Fact.
except, is it?
Fact.
What's the metric?
Because it was animated on black paper.
All right.
That's the metric.
Go on.
That's the metric.
Yeah, go on.
Anyway, moving on from there, that was so successful that they decided to give it a feature-length film. And this was before cartoon series ever got their own films. Now it's quite a common thing.
Ben 10.
You do a couple of good, exactly. You do a couple of great series, and then you get yourself a little movie move.
Rugrats go to Mexico.
But this was a relatively new phenomenon when Mask of the Phantasm was made for the Batman series. It was so budgeted, Michael, that it got a limited cinema release in the United States.
A cartoon,
and it was formative for many people.
Now, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second and point out that a lot of cartoons got movies that got cinema releases, and a lot of them were quite a while before the Batman animated series.
Fair enough.
Transformers.
Did Transformers get a cinema release?
Yeah.
G.I. Joe get a cinema release?
Yeah. So, do feel free to the GoBots, believe it or not.
Yeah, look,
do carry on, though. Do carry on.
It's been a pleasure doing 121 episodes with you. I'm just going to hand in my badge.
Yeah. Do carry on, though.
But anyway, Mask of the Phantasm came out, and we get a little bit of a Joker origin story again on that. Yeah, because the Joker in that is he's a lunatic again. He's living in the old World of the Future fair in Gotham, and I remember that being the first time I was really disturbed by Mark Hamill's Joker, because he's having this weird conversation with a robotic woman, and he's just like rambling to this woman, a little bit like what I do when I go to various places. It's just me in a room.
Talking to robot women.
Look, I like what I like.
It shows your bloody circuit boards.
Oh, God. You make it so cheap, Michael. Anyway, it turns out that Andrea, the woman who is the Phantasm in this, is hunting down all her father's
the Taylor Swift of Batman villains.
Her father's ex-partners who betrayed him. He was a crime boss.
Yeah.
He was betrayed. And bloody small-time hood Joker
was
Joker's
in
that
original
original
animated series?
I think it's Napier again. I think they stick with Napier. Yeah, they stick with Napier.
That's
I'll double-check that now in a second. But I think they stick with Napier. And he gets that kind of similar gangster origin again. Because originally when he was brought back in the 70s, he was the Clown Prince of Crime. He was a real crime boss. Not the deranged lunatic that became so popular later on.
Yeah.
But he was a crime boss more than anything else. And he could frequently be seen having an old turf war. With the gang.
The Penguin.
With the Penguin. Him and the Penguin were not mates.
No.
Not bestos. The Riddler. Oh, that came back later. Anyway, that was those two. Anything else, Michael?
Well, here's the thing though, Ben, right? Because that Jack Nicholson performance was so iconic. You alright?
Yeah,
you look like you're a
bit tired.
You look like you're struggling a little bit.
Made a lot of mistakes. Made a lot of mistakes today. Made a lot of mistakes.
The thing about after the Jack Nicholson thing and after the animated series, that's when the kind of mythos started forming of the two sides of the coin.
Two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin, a lovely bit of potatoes. The two sides of the same coin.
Come here to me, we're two sides of the same. That's if Colin Farrell played the Joker. Come here to me, right? We're two sides of the same coin, you and me.
Do you want to hear a joke, yeah?
Do
you want to hear a joke? Knock, knock, yeah? Fuck you. Two gay beers, please. Anyway, where are we? That's when the mythos started forming, Ben. The Joker depiction, the portrayal, was so bloody popular.
Yeah.
In quite a small little movie. That Batman movie is pretty small.
Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Tim
Burton.
I mean,
it's a small thing. It's a man who wants to blow up a thing, and then another man stops him with a fight. It's not a big, huge, world-changing, mythological, everything's connected thing.
He just tried to kill all the city.
He does, or just the people who come to the parade. But even if you look at it, like the number of people at the parade, they didn't have a huge budget for extras, clearly.
Nah.
Because there's only about 50 people at that parade.
I suppose you were taking a big risk on Tim Burton at the time.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been the bankable asset that he well, he's not anymore, but he wouldn't have been the bankable asset that he was in the mid-90s.
And Michael Keaton wasn't a huge star either. And
Yeah, Michael Keaton. Love Michael Keaton.
very good Batman.
You really have to go back and watch it to understand just how great he was as a Batman.
Terrible suit.
Terrible suit.
Terrible suit.
No articulation in the neck.
And really lumpy and ill-fitting, and, you know, any cosplayer does a better job of these days.
I did honestly believe that he probably could take bullets due to the sheer bulk of the suit.
Technology has come a long way, is what I'm saying. But anyway, the mythology was born, and people said, there's no point ever doing another Joker. Why would you ever do another Joker? It's not a thing that can be done. It's definitive. Don't do another Joker. Do as many Batman as you want.
Because we haven't quite gotten that yet.
He's dead simple. He's dead straightforward. He's just Batman about the place. But never do another Joker, Ben. And then we had the bloody Dark Knight Rises.
No,
No, what was it called?
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yeah.
Dark Knight Rises is the third
the
one.
fish pasta one.
Yeah.
Fish pasta. Fish pasta.
That's amazing. I've never heard that.
You need to get more memes into you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we had the bloody this is where I think the mythology was really
exploded,
bloody solidified into.
Yeah.
We've gone opposite directions with our analogies there, but it really made it like. So in the 1989 movie, the Joker was a criminal, and he fell into a vat of acid, and he held a grudge against Batman and Gotham in general.
Yeah.
And just wanted to cause a bit of mayhem, but also he wanted to be rich and powerful and stuff
yeah,
like
he was
that.
looking for job security to a degree.
Yeah, and people said, that's the best Joker that will ever be put on screen.
We
Don't
couldn't
even try
possibly
it.
get another.
So instead of trying to do a better Joker, they just did a completely different Joker.
And my oh my, Michael.
Yes.
What a Joker they did.
Tell us about that very briefly.
So, first of all, I remember my outrage as I think I must have been about 13, 14 when it was announced that Heath Ledger was going to be Joker. And I was like,
bloody 10 things I hate about you.
Pretty boy Ledger. Pretty boy Ledger. I didn't have the articulation to probably get around to that, but I was very, very, I was uproarious, Michael.
Yeah.
I was incensed
Yeah.
that they would ever give such a great character like the Joker to, because I had been born and bred, Michael, on Jack Nicholson Joker.
And Mark Hamill.
And I didn't believe it could be done. And then, Michael, this shabby, lumbering force of nature came on the screen, and you just kind of understood that this is a character with, like, unbelievable intelligence, planning, and who clearly just enjoys fucking up things.
Yeah.
And we get Michael Keaton, who says Sandman.
Michael Caine.
Michael Keaton is the other one. Do you know what, Michael? I think I am just going to stop. Sandman, Master Wayne. Just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, so he was a kind of anarchist.
Yeah, he's an anarchist, and he becomes an anarchist, and he became the poster boy for every overweight nerd sitting behind a keyboard.
Jesus, Ben.
Yeah,
Take it handy now.
Fuck them all. Fuck them all.
Right.
Yeah, not having it. He became a phenomenal character, Michael. It was a breakout performance. I think, and this will probably get me a little bit of flack, but I think probably because he died,
it certainly helped.
It certainly helped to build that mythos of the character as this force of nature and chaotic creature. There were some controversial comments from Jack Nicholson about that. He said that I warned him that it would happen, and people were like, "That's a bit sour grapes there.
A bit much, Jack.
Bit sour grapes there, Jack." And you know, I think that definitely helped to build up the mythos. But he did give us a phenomenal rendition of a character that you honestly believed could be the opposite of Batman.
Yeah.
In almost every sense.
So this is the thing. This is what solidified it then as a, like, Joker is a character that can be interpreted in many ways.
Yeah, because he changes his own origin within the... You want to know how I got these scars?
You know, what is the Joker? Who is the Joker? There's 100 ways you can look at the Joker. And what does... And that, unfortunately, Ben, gave us bloody Suicide Squad.
Fucking Suicide Squad.
And in Suicide Squad, the origin of the character was very different. In Suicide Squad, the origin of the character is there was an actor called Jared Leto, and he wanted to win an Oscar.
He didn't get one, though.
So he invented a new character also called the Joker.
He was awful.
Look, Ben.
He was a SoundCloud rapper.
If you want to have this kind of mythological character who has many facets, which is what the Joker is becoming, basically.
Yeah.
The Joker is he's a part of modern mythology.
He's a trickster.
Yeah.
He's a trickster analog. He can have many forms.
If you're going to have a character with many facets and many stories and many origins, and some of them won't catch on.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
You're going to have a few misses.
Yeah.
Can't all be hits.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of them.
Yeah.
In his defense, they say that a lot of it got cut out, so maybe there was a good character study
That
there.
was him in his own defense. I'm not sure. Well, look, maybe.
No one has ever denied.
Look, that's true.
They did say there was about a movie's worth of footage cut out of him and Harley Quinn, so I don't care. I have no wish to see it. I have no wish to see it, Ben. I don't. That version of the character didn't appeal to me.
It was an effort.
It was a thing, but that effort was a direct result of this mythologicalizing of the Joker.
Yeah, where he could just go in any direction he wanted and see what he could do with it.
Just take it whatever way you want. You work. What's your
Joker? Who's your Joker?
Yeah, every actor is thinking, who's your Joker? What's your Joker going to be?
Yeah, it just didn't turn out great. Jared Leto is an irritating presence. I think I was more annoyed by Jared Leto giving interviews, and when I heard that he was sending people willies and used condoms and stuff.
I think it was mostly willies.
It's mostly willies. But I just wasn't into that. I was just like, that's irritatingly method.
But Ben, look, directly as a result of both of those things, we now have a new Joker, which we've just seen.
Yeah.
Ben, let's just do a little. What's the spoiler song? Didn't we have a spoiler song?
Look, we talk about the film.
It's gonna be
Don't
spoilers.
keep listening.
Don't keep listening if you don't want to hear any spoilers about Joker. That we're going to talk about it now in about 10 seconds.
Less.
10 seconds from now, we're going to bloody talk about the Joker and reveal all the spoilers. Here they come. Here are the spoilers.
So stop listening now if you didn't get that from
If you've
the
made
song.
it through Ben's various tirades.
Yeah,
still
still here.
Go on.
Still here.
Go on.
Look, this is a brand new Joker.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, another noted method actor,
Yeah.
having a crack at it. Widely marketed as something that wasn't a superhero movie because Martin Scorsese came out this week as well and said that, no superhero movie is art. Which just is very out of touch, I think. Probably he's never watched them as well, so he knows they're not art because he won't. He refuses, which is pretty insulting to any major actor or director that worked on those films to have one of their icons possibly come out and say, "Oh, well, they're not art, so I don't watch them." It's like, I don't know if you get to decide that, without watching them. But anyway, he's produced it. Todd Phillips of Hangover fame has directed it.
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix of Walk the Line fame.
Yeah.
That is most famous.
Signs. Remember in Signs when he saw the alien on the tape?
I don't remember Signs at all.
Remember he saw the alien? The alien. He was watching the tape of the kids in Brazil, I think, and he saw the alien. He went,
Zazie Beetz is there as well.
Zazie Beetz.
Zazie Beetz is there as well.
It's Zazie.
There's no Commissioner Gordon, sadly. I was looking forward to Commissioner Gordon. Most importantly, Michael, there's no bloody Batman.
There's no Batman at all.
No Batman.
There's no Batman at all.
And where is the Batman?
He's not there.
Not there.
He's a kid.
Not there. He's a kid.
Yeah.
There is Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Thomas Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Martha Wayne.
I don't think they ever say her name.
They don't. She's a blonde lady as well.
Yeah.
It's very unusual.
Presumably they don't say her name because Martha.
Why did you say Arthur? It's a joke stolen from Shane Courtney.
So go on. Tell us about the film, Ben.
So, this one is completely different. It is top to bottom a Joker origin story.
Yeah.
It could also be looked upon as how many Martin Scorsese references can we fit into one film. It could also be looked upon as Incel the Movie by Martin Scorsese. It could also be looked upon as, geez, aren't the rich a bad bunch of guys? It could also be looked upon as, what would Bernie Sanders do if he had one bad day?
Wow.
There are a lot of ways to look at this film, Michael, but fundamentally what it is, it's an origin story for a character that traditionally has
no origin story.
shook him off. It was an interesting film. It was well shot, well scored.
I don't necessarily agree with you on well scored. I found the heavy violins, the heavy strings throughout were a bit grating, personally. But perhaps grating was what they were going for.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be. I did feel very uneasy watching the character on screen, so I think it probably speaks a lot to Joaquin Phoenix's prowess as an actor. I was visibly uncomfortable, and so was my brother.
You were visibly uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
My brother.
He turned around and said, "Ben, you look uncomfortable."
Yeah. He's like,
Right.
would you settle down? Like?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think he pulls it off with a certain aplomb. It's a very different interpretation of the Joker. He's almost trying to play it sympathetic.
I disagree with you there. I don't think that there's supposed to be any sympathy for this character in this film. I don't think anything like that. What I think about this film is that it was very interesting that in this film, it's very clearly about a man with mental illness.
Severe mental illness.
Very, very strong mental illness. This is about a guy who is mentally ill, who he doesn't have a breakdown because he's pretty much...
He's been mentally ill his whole life.
For his whole life. And it turns out there's a mitigating factor that has led to him being mentally ill. Well, two or three possibly. Yeah. Family history, abuse, lack of support. There's society. Lots of things have caused it. But the interesting thing for this take on the Joker is that he is definitively mentally ill.
Yes.
He shouts at someone before he kills them. This is what happens when you take someone who's mentally ill and give them no support.
Yeah. And you leave them behind. This is when you take a sad loner and leave them behind.
I don't think that's what he says.
Abandon them.
No, he says mentally ill. He says someone with a mental illness.
Okay.
Maybe a loner with a mental illness or something like that. But looking back then, Jack Napier didn't really have a mental illness.
He was a functioning sociopath.
Every Joker before this Joker hasn't played on mental illness as the main thing.
Or as a weakness.
Yeah. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker was a liar.
He's a man with a plan, though.
He's a man with a plan, and he's got tics.
Yeah, but he's not mentally ill.
But he's not mentally... Like, he's
not mentally stable.
He's to use the Irish term, mental. The Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah.
He's causing problems, but he knows what he's doing.
He's not an unreliable narrator in his own head.
No.
There's no deception being played on him by his brain. And I think that you're probably exactly right there. You're actually absolutely right. It's not played for sympathy at all, now that I
don't think it was played for sympathy. And I think anyone who is saying he is portrayed as a sympathetic character...
Because there's a lot of people saying that.
...are missing the point. He's definitely... It's an effort, I think, to understand the character.
Yeah.
But not an effort to portray him in a sympathetic light.
He's not likeable at all.
No, but it's not his fault.
It's not his... Yeah, he's in the wrong environment.
Well, he's in the wrong environment. His family has a history of mental illness. There's a long list of things that make him not likeable.
Yeah.
And someone who definitely probably does need the help of being institutionalized, as you can see by the way the film ends.
Yeah.
But I don't think it glorifies it or...
No, not at all. He's quite, as I said, quite disturbing as a character. He's very hard to root for in any form. There's not a single moment in that film where you go, good for you.
Are you supposed to, though, is what I'm saying?
No, I don't think so. So there's a lot of controversy at the minute on both sides, from some people saying that it glorifies...
I'm just going to stop you there. On both sides of what?
From those who feel that the character is a sympathetic portrayal and those who feel that it isn't.
Right.
Or I suppose we can go back to this. Very political now.
You see, the thing about incels, Ben, this is going to end up reflecting back on you, I think, a little bit.
Probably.
And maybe our own politics and attitudes. Yeah. No, but hold on. I haven't seen any of this stuff about incels.
Oh, it's just, it's probably more in my field.
It might be just your search history.
Could be.
Because I'm seeing more along the lines of the art versus...
there is a bit of that as well.
Art versus is it superheroes? Because what I'm seeing on my internet feed is critics loving it and fans being a bit, well, it's a good film, I suppose.
I think we had that very strong reaction as we left the cinema. I think the best thing that happened to this movie was Martin Scorsese put his name on it. And I don't mean that in an unfair way, but I think Martin Scorsese's name at a critical level carries a phenomenal amount of weight. And I think for some critics, it is akin to heresy to go against a Martin Scorsese venture.
I don't know. I think that's putting your thought process onto critics. I think a lot of critics what they're looking for. Now we're analysing critics rather than talking about Joker.
I'm sorry,
But
we can go back.
No,
we can
no,
go
but
back.
hold on, it's relevant. What they're looking for is a character study. A lot
Yes.
of people like a character
They
study.
love a method actor,
This is definitely a character study.
undeniably.
We learn a lot about this guy as a character.
Mm.
We follow one character,
Again
basically.
and again and
There are
again.
very few other characters in this film.
I'd say
There-
about a cast of 6.
A few more, maybe, but most of them are just... Zazie Beetz, for example, is not a character.
No, she's a fiction
Yeah.
of his imagination. Spoilers. Well, we already told you
We said
spoilers.
spoilers, full spoilers. Robert De Niro's chat show host is not really a character
No.
either. They're all just people in his world. We follow this one character, and it's a fantastically acted character.
Mm.
Is it entertaining and enjoyable? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think that's what Joaquin Phoenix was going for.
But it's a character study.
Yeah.
It also, for whether this is good or bad or a fault or not, or a flaw or not, it is definitely directed. It has a style.
Yeah.
And it has a consistent style,
A colour palette.
a colour palette, a shooting style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
it has
It just happens to be Martin Scorsese's.
Yeah. It has a message.
Yeah.
It has points. What's the message of Captain America Civil War?
Don't piss off Tony Stark.
Watch out for them Nazis. They're everywhere, but in secret.
Yeah.
Isn't the shield cool?
Spooky secret Nazis.
Captain
And shivers up your...
I much prefer Captain America Civil War to this.
Yeah.
But what critics are lauding about this are those things that we've just talked about. And it definitely has all of those things. It's very definitely a good movie.
It's well made.
Yeah.
It's a technically speaking solid film.
But, you know, there's a character arc and there's development
Yeah.
and there's everything you would possibly want in a film. I didn't really like it.
No, neither did I.
But I can still see...
Why a critic would...
No, I don't.
Or
even
why
want-
someone
I
would-
don't even want to say I understand why a critic would enjoy it, because that I think sounds a bit condescending. What I'm saying is, I recognise all of those good things about it. That's not particularly what I'm into in a film.
Fair enough.
I don't need a film to be an in-depth character study to enjoy it.
Okay.
Do you get me? Do you
No,
know
I
what I'm
understand what
saying?
you mean.
Like,
Yeah. It's a little too intense as a film. From my point of view.
Go on.
It's... This is going to make me sound like an utter wanker, but I'm going to say it anyway.
go on, yeah.
It is art house to the point of pastiche in certain places.
Go on.
I think it was pointed out by either Shane or my brother that we spend way too many time with weird shots of him laughing on his own, and they just repeat that shot over and over again in a nice intense close up.
Yeah.
And then you have the strange bokeh effect and the lens hovering over his forehead.
Don't know what that means.
The bokeh effect is where everything else blurs out, and we just kind of spiral around Joaquin Phoenix's forehead
Okay.
as he plays with the gun or contemplates, the same thing he's been contemplating. And it pushes it over and over. I thought the 3 businessmen that he murders were very on the nose,
Yeah.
and it's all very heavy-handed. Even at the level of a film that includes all those things, and that's what people want, and I understand that. There's not a lot of subtlety in the film.
I have said this to Shane, and Shane said that's what a lot of critics said. But as you know, I avoided critics before
You
going
do.
to see it. I thought that it would have been possibly a better film, but Ben, bear in mind, not a film I would have gone to see, but a better film if it had nothing to do with Batman.
Yeah.
If this was a story about someone with a mental illness suffering a breakdown.
We see he's already made that movie.
Go on.
It's called I Was Never Even There, or You Were Never Even There.
The King of Comedy.
That's a different mental breakdown. It's
Go on.
just, but Joaquin Phoenix started another movie called You Were Never. It's either You Were Never Even There or I Was Never Even There. And he plays, I guess, a hitman for hire who lives with his mother in an apartment.
Oh, really?
Hates his job. And goes through psychotic episodes and has to deal with those. Now, the goal is a little bit different in both films. In the Joker film, his goal is to be accepted or find acceptance or something along those lines, to have human contact that he believes he deserves. In the other film, he has to rescue a young girl who's gotten herself into a bad situation. He's kind of got to balance his mental illness with trying to do the right thing and stuff like that. In terms of gritty setting, outbursts of violence, a man falling to his depth, an extreme intense Joaquin Phoenix, it's all there. They're very similar films. So it's interesting, and I kind of completely agree with you. I don't know what benefit the Joker has to this film.
To being a Batman movie. It's a story about a sad clown going.
I don't know why Thomas Wayne needed to be there. I didn't understand.
How many times do we have to watch those pearls being snatched from Martha Wayne's neck?
Why did we get another? There was no need. So right at the end of the film,
we get it. We know.
Literally in the last 10 minutes. In the last 10 minutes of the film, we have to go through the Bruce Wayne origin story again. There was no need.
Yeah. Although in this one, it's not the Joker who pulls the trigger.
Yeah, but there was
a riot that
it was just a riot that he caused. There was no need. And then he has a little flashback in his interview at the end where he's like, I was thinking of a joke, and we see Bruce Wayne standing above the body of his dead. He can't possibly know that.
Happened.
He can't possibly see that or know that or understand that. Oh, my God, we get it. Batman had a rough time when he was a kid.
His parents got killed.
And he went off to be a Batman.
Zorro, we know. I know. Mask of Zorro.
One of the other things I found really interesting was how much the choice of design for the film was unusually Martin Scorsese-esque. The opening title with the big Joker in yellow letters.
Yeah, an interesting thing about that was so few vanity plates, not vanity cards, is that what they're called? So few production companies, just straight into it.
Straight into Warner Brothers.
Very rare for a 2019 film.
Yeah, just straight into Warner Brothers, and the company that helped them gets a scribble next to the thing. Very unusual.
Very strange, yeah, for 2019.
I didn't know what to expect going in. And I came out very jumbled, Michael. I was just like, I don't know if I liked it. I didn't like it. It certainly, as you pointed out, could have benefited from a lack of superhero tie-in or Batman tie-in. Or
I'm not necessarily saying that either.
No, it could have benefited.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it didn't benefit from it being there.
Yeah.
Not saying it shouldn't have had it. I'm just saying it didn't need it.
Didn't need it at all. Yeah.
It would have been, if anything, just as good, if not better film, if it wasn't there.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it didn't need to be a Batman film.
Yeah.
You could take it or leave it.
Take it or leave Batman. I didn't particularly like it.
No,
it was.
I think all four of us kind of came out and went, huh.
It was alright.
Yeah. There were certainly some amazing scenes.
Yeah.
The one where he walks out of the subway station having his cigarette is pretty impressive. There's that kind of snap of violence every once in a while that kind of lets you see the more psychotic end of Joker. That gets interesting. But overall,
it's a character study.
It's Oscar bait. Yeah. Sure, look.
Sure,
listen, right.
You're right, buddy.
Yeah, I'm just kind of having my world unraveled.
Yeah, you're right. Just remember, Ben, you're my number one guy.
Anyway, on that wonderful note, ladies and gentlemen, remember Mick said it here first. I'm his number one guy.
It was just a Batman reference.
No. He thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread. If you think I'm the best thing since sliced bread, give us now a comment down below.
Give him an email because he's a bit sad looking, really. To be honest with you.
Who's your favorite Joker? What's your favorite version of the Joker? You are not allowed to listen to the podcast anymore if you say Jared Leto. But anybody else is fine by us.
I don't know if I have one.
No, because you can pick and choose them. You can pick and choose them, Michael. For me, it's always going to be Mark Hamill. For a couple of people we ask on the podcast, it was a throw up between Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson doesn't get a
lot of love, does he?
Doesn't get a lot of love anymore.
Despite at one point being the definitive Joker.
Yeah, despite at one point being the definitive Joker. I'd say he's probably the definitive Joker for my dad's era.
All right.
I think it might have something to do with that, but I'm not 100% sure there.
Well, I mean, Jack Nicholson for me isn't the definitive Joker, but Michelle Pfeiffer is definitely the definitive Catwoman.
You are much younger than my father, Michael.
What I'm just saying.
just you're not that old, Michael. Jesus. You're quite young. Quite young. Let us know what you thought. Did you see the Joker movie? What did you think of it? Not you, Michael.
We just talked about it for 20 bloody minutes.
The listeners.
Oh, the listeners.
The listeners. If you want to check out some interesting Joker storylines, you can check out the really interesting alternate take, which is Joker by Ed Brubaker and Lee Bermejo. It's an interesting little mini-series that came out. Very interesting look at it. The always wonderful Mark Hamill as the Joker in pretty much any of the animated universes things is always a great thing to look at and listen to. If you're looking for a more old-fashioned thing, go and pick up a classic kind of Silver Age series. You could read the Death in the Family arc to understand why Batman hates him so gosh darn much.
That's when he killed Jason Todd with a crowbar.
Yeah, it was bad time. It's a real shift, a real watershed moment for the character in general. But anyway, give us a shout. Let us know what you think. We're on a website as well, seomrabeag.com, seomrabeag.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
If you don't want to go to our website, we're on Instagram at Michael and Benjamin's podcast. Yeah. We are on Spotify. You can listen to us there. You can let us know if you're listening to us on YouTube down below. That's my alarm there in my pocket. Podcasting professionalism. That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
Bye, everybody.